Hello, and welcome to the Spirit Hunters Podcast. I am Lance White Eagle, and joining me are...
Chrissy Holtz.
Brenda White Eagle.
Hunter White Eagle.
Lisa.
Shane.
And today we're going to be talking about our personal ghost stories from before or during our ghost hunts that we didn't cover in our last
Part 1.
personal ghost stories video.
Part 2.
Um,
Yeah, if you didn't see the first one, that's up on YouTube as well if you want to see some of our other stories.
yeah, and there's some really good, interesting stuff on there.
Where is Bill's skull guy?
Oh,
Bill's,
up here.
Alright.
It was sitting up more. I think it's sitting down.
We
So,
wouldn't be able to see it anyways.
for anybody who's not familiar with
well,
our group here, we
welcome
all,
to the 60 people watching us on TikTok.
Oh, nice.
Yay!
We
Thank
all
you.
had a lot of
Seven.
personal ghost experience prior to starting our ghost hunting group, and that's how we kind of got into it. And least you want to talk about actually our first. Mom reminded me outside. Our first paranormal caught on video thing was actually with Lisa on
On Aiden when she was a baby.
Hopi.
It was
was
Hope.
Hope.
It was
Hope
Hope.
when she was
Lisa was.
Oh.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
wanna talk
they
about
look
that?
No, I was
So-
recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little.
Yeah. So, me and Hope, this was at Green Street. And me and Hope were sitting on the couch. She was sitting on my lap, and we were talking, singing nursery songs. And just out of the blue, she went from laughing to like crying hysterically, and I had no idea why.
We gotta try to find that and post that video.
I had the video. I just watched it again just the other day. And I
we gotta
think
put that on our
Yeah.
platforms. That's
yeah, like
that's a
we
good
tried to debunk it. Like I didn't see it like real time. I didn't notice it until I was watching the video back.
Yeah, sometime later.
And then I sent it to you,
Yeah.
and you tried to like slow it down. And
Well, did you tell them what you saw in the video?
no, it looked like a little invisible person
Yeah.
It was kind of creepy.
that kind of
looking,
just
too.
like zip, like right back behind her.
Mm.
And you can tell Hope. Lisa didn't notice it, but Hope saw it. Her whole demeanor completely changed.
Yeah.
So
And it affected her in some way. Tangible. She went from happy giggling to
yeah.
crying like she was in pain.
Yeah, and then that's right. You sent it to me, and I used our archaic
Slowed it down. Went
video
frame
software,
by frame.
by frame, and it is
Yeah.
It's
child
just
Little
size,
child.
transparent. It's got mass and a shading to it, but you can still see through it, and it kind of just ran out of your dining room and
Yeah,
over
and
towards
then
like the stairs.
It looked like it ran maybe up the stairs.
Yeah.
So
I just want to put this out for the TikTok people. If you guys have any questions related to the paranormal or to us, or feel free to drop them in the comments, and we'll read them off throughout the
Same
podcast.
thing
So,
with Facebook.
same with
Yeah,
the Facebook
and,
guys.
and you guys watching it on YouTube, and leave us your comments or personal stories and things like that.
Like, comment, subscribe, and share.
So that was kind of our first, I guess, official
First
night
thing
ghost
on
hunting video,
camera.
right?
On capture on tape,
That we
yeah.
know about. Now,
Yeah.
Hope did always have lots of orbs in all her pictures. Not just the occasional look and dust thing. Big, round, giant orbs. It was a common thing until she turned around 4 or 5 and
Yeah.
started changing a little bit.
Yeah. Let's see. You got a spooky story, Christine? Just kind of go down.
sure. Are we just telling one and then go
Yeah.
on? Let's see here. There's been a couple places I've worked at that have had some sort of activity. The one was called the Warehouse Restaurant. It's not open anymore. It was in Marshburg, Pennsylvania, and my brother was working there. That's how I got a job there, and I was the buffet attendant. I would go out and fill the crab legs and all the random food. And I noticed that, like, throughout my day, he used to keep it really dim in there, which I hated, but throughout the day, it would
Mood
get
lighting.
brighter and brighter and brighter. And I'd keep getting yelled at, like, why is the light brighter? What are you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going and turning up the light for no reason. But it would just get brighter, and so I thought one of the waitresses was screwing around with me. So I started, like, watching it, like, making sure nobody was going over.
So these
to-
lights had a dimmer switch.
Yeah, it was a dimmer
So something
switch.
was actually turning
Something
this
was
up.
making
Yeah.
it lighter and lighter and
It's
brighter
like, I'm going to turn
throughout
it
the
up
night.
a little bit at a time, see if they
it
notice.
was just minute, so you wouldn't notice it till later.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, nobody was messing with it. It was just somehow like getting brighter.
Yeah.
Also, I would notice like things would get moved. Like I would always keep like certain spoons on this side of the buffet, so I knew where they were. They'd be moved like completely somewhere else. And I thought I was losing my mind at first. I'm like, okay, like what is going on here? But then like, yeah, but then I actually talked to one of my friends whose mother used to work there too, years before I worked there, and she said the same things used to happen to her mom.
Yeah.
Things would get moved, things would get misplaced. Like you'd set something here and it would be over on the other side of the room later.
Well,
So
something
it was
is
like,
not agree with how you do things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need a lighter environment. You need to know what side the fork goes on.
I mean, I
He's like, no, the
as-
fork goes next to the small fork.
as blind guys, like I do not appreciate the dimly lit restaurants because I'm like, well,
I can't
I'm
see
assuming
anything.
they have hamburgers. I guess
I
that's what
can't
I'm
even
gonna
see him
get.
half the time.
Yeah.
You know, I've only ever been to like
So
one
maybe it's
fancy
just the
restaurant
old,
that was
it's
like
the old
that.
ghost who was like, I can't read.
Well, you know what's funny is that story. One of the places we're working on getting into is a restaurant. The hard part is they're a very busy restaurant, so we had to figure out like a date. But that was one of the things that they had an issue. Anytime somebody put the fork on the wrong side, it would go flip off. Like somebody went on the end of the fork.
that's funny.
So
Nice.
we gotta. I hope that happens when we're there.
I could talk about real quick about the other one at the pet store really quick,
Sure.
just while we're I also worked at the pet store in Bradford for a while, and it used to be a pharmacy, like one of the old school pharmacies with the soda fountain, like where they used to actually like mix
best
the
ones?
drinks and
Yeah.
Anyways, the back still looked like the pharmacy where we would keep all the small animal supplies, like for the hamsters, the water bottles, things like that, just extra stuff. And I would be there in there by myself, and you'd hear like stuff kind of like moving around and stuff. We used to joke around that it was the pharmacist, and then sometimes things would just kind of fly off the shelf. And there was no fan or anything that would be blowing this stuff, but there could be like like a hamster dish or something sitting up
Yeah.
on the shelf, and it would just kind of like projectile fall to the other side, like just randomly. You just got used to it after a while, but things
Right.
would just fall off the shelves. So I thought that was kind of
Well, that's not where it goes.
interesting.
Maybe a
Yeah.
medicine
Goes
Well, I mean,
over
the
here.
medicine
He
went
was
back
hungry,
there, and
ghost hamster,
yeah.
and he wanted
But so yeah, those are two experiences.
That
I
sounds like
had.
something more like just try to scare them or mess with
Maybe.
them.
Or the old pharmacist, like,
It's
this
just like,
doesn't
yeah.
go here. You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
like,
Right.
because you were still using his shelves.
Yeah, it was the
Like
the
the
shelves
pharmacy
actually
shelves.
looked like
Probably
when they
the
put
most
the
likely
medications.
Yeah.
They're like,
scenario
this
was
isn't
that
Tylenol, and he's
It
like,
was the old.
"Shut
He was
up."
like, I didn't leave you this store. The stuff goes here. You know.
Yeah.
Everything.
So,
But
but yeah.
Graham, you got something?
So many. One time, my daughter owned a house in Salamanca, 150 Broad, and we were living there.
Nice story.
And then, and there had been a old reverend who lived there and had gotten terminal with cancer and had asphyxiated himself in the garage. Now the garage didn't have any electricity, but there would be a light on out there a lot, and you would try to go out there and turn the light off, but there isn't any light. But one time late at night, we heard pots and pans flying. So we go down to the kitchen. They're all over the room,
Yeah, just thrown out
just
of the
thrown
cupboards.
around.
Really?
He was grouchy, and two of my
Y'all are sinning.
Well,
Yeah.
we should say he did say he was a preacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he killed himself.
right, which
Oh.
is not done.
Well,
Right.
but in life, we knew somebody who had known him in life. But
Yeah,
we knew his niece, and she said, like, when he was still alive, like, he wasn't the nicest
Wasn't a
guy
pleasant guy
necessarily.
either
Anyway,
then.
he was like a grouchy, you know.
and one time two of my grandchildren were playing upstairs, which happened to be his old room that he and his wife had shared, and they came running downstairs crying. They said the old man told us to get out.
Yeah,
So-
Cody and Kay.
Cody and Kay,
Yeah.
Get out of here.
he told us to get out of his room.
Do you think it was him that did the vacuum thing to scare them too?
I think it probably was.
Yeah. Oh, it was him, dude. All the stuff in that house, but
He just, yeah, that makes
Well,
sense.
there's a vacuum incident where all the bedrooms are upstairs. So all of us are upstairs sleeping, and we hear the vacuum cleaner going. So Sandy and I get up and we go.
well,
Looking.
it happened twice.
Yeah,
Because it happened when Shane was staying
Yeah, I was-
there, when
I
they
was
had
gonna
first
tell
moved
you.
up,
Right.
and it happened when we were there.
when you were there, was it when it burnt the rug?
It was when we were visiting. I was stuck
Oh.
in that back little room.
Anyway, so we go downstairs and the vacuum cleaner is going back and forth in front of the stairway. We had white carpet. It's going back and forth. Tried to turn it off. Tried to unplug it. It wasn't even plugged in.
So something was controlling it. I mean,
And
obviously,
then it just kept going, and then it kept going until it burned the rug.
Yeah.
And that was very similar to the
Big
When I
black
saw it.
burn in the white
Yeah,
rug.
but when you had it happen, it was in a different location, right?
in the dining room. Vera screams because I thought she was
That
actually,
was a different time.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say the name, sorry. Grandmother of my sister's kids on the other side. And she's like, Shane, come here. So I go running in there, and I did hear the vacuum going. I just assumed that she was vacuuming.
Mm-hmm.
And she's sitting, and she said this went on by itself. I said, well, maybe something, the switch or something's messed up. I go look at it, and the vacuum, the cord is wrapped all the way around. It's not even plugged in. There's not even close to a plug.
Yeah.
But it was going into the wall like this and just
Oh.
spinning where it burnt a big hole
Jeez.
into the carpet. It was really weird. I
Yeah.
hadn't seen anything like that
But
before.
the only way we got it to stop is we kicked it over.
I just threw it out
probably
the
just
back.
kicked it out of his hand.
I threw it out the back because I figured that,
But then the rug had to be repaired.
right, well, what's her name? Dalston. Why I was throwing a vacuum out.
It was also at that house. The great nephew of the guy who killed himself, I was friends with, and we didn't know that it was his relative's house. And
Yeah.
we were in the basement, and I was in 5th grade, and I'm telling him and not Monkey yet, it's Billy or something. I was like, oh, there's a ghost in this house, and the relative of the ghost in that house was like, well, I don't believe in that. And as he says that, this box comes flying out from underneath the stairs and almost hits him in the head.
He's like,
And he just goes, I'm going home. And walked out the basement door and
No.
didn't see him for 2 months.
that's-
There was a pool
he
table
didn't
in the
even realize it was his
basement.
own relative.
Oh, he did.
Oh,
That's
he
why
did.
he was
That's why.
That's why he was a little
There
shook
was
by it.
a
Yeah.
pool table in the basement, and we left it wrapped, in the triangle. And at night, we'd hear the balls
Yeah.
clacking and
Play
going
pool,
into different
yeah.
pockets, playing pool. He had a cane, and he stomped up and down the stairs and down the halls with his
Oh,
cane.
yeah, if you got too loud,
Oh, we got too loud.
he
and
or
banged
you
it.
little guys, he banged it. You'd hear a cane bang against the wall.
Really?
Knock it off. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
I
we
did-
had trouble with him for a long time.
Jeez.
I played pool with, we'll say, the other owner of the house. And every time we were playing late, stuff on the walls that were hanging up on the walls would fall off. And it was almost like he was saying, all right, now it's enough.
Yeah.
Go to bed,
Get out of
yeah.
here,
That's pretty good.
Yeah, he didn't like us moving around at night. Yet, when we were in bed asleep, he would do things like throwing pots and pans and vacuuming the
He
floors.
just got angry and he's frustrated.
Stomping with his cane.
His lot that he, in life and death probably wasn't what he was expecting
And he probably
and
lived there
frustrated.
by himself, right? Or did
He had a wife.
And then to have, to pass
at
away
that
in that
time,
home, and then have all these kids and people coming in there and
He
just
had a wife.
making a
also-
ruckus, and
I wish
I'd get
Monkey
pretty
was
irritated
here
too.
because I assume it's probably him. Like Monkey, the house is here, and he was minister of the church here.
Next door.
And that's the church Monkey grew up going to.
Right.
And they'd hear things and see things in that church, and like all the kids were like afraid to like go in the attic or the basement because
Yeah, the whole second floor up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
and
And
even
this is a church that like is by the house. Like
Yeah,
it
it's
was-
next
the
door.
house
It's
was
like the rectory type
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
The church used to be the old governor's mansion.
Yeah, back in the day, yeah.
And
At
later it was
the
turned
one at
into
the
a
end of my
church.
street,
The
the
columns?
big yellow one
Yeah.
with the columns.
That
He was
church.
a minister there, and the
Okay.
church owned the house next door.
It was
Gotcha.
at one time a beautiful mansion, and it had gardens all the way back to the river.
Hmm. And I don't think it was Monkey, but one of my buddies and I in the room upstairs, from the window of the house, we were looking at the church, and nobody, like it's like a Thursday or whatever, nobody's in it, and you could see somebody walking like back and forth in the attic window.
Actually, I wish I could experience something like that because I
I
never
can't
see
tell you
like
how
the
many
cool
times
things.
I went by that garage too to see that light on.
Oh yeah.
Right.
No, there was no power.
So
Right.
no, it had like a green, like those old like green roll up garage doors, like the
Yeah.
vinyl stuff, and like you could see like it illuminated.
Yeah.
Like because you can see the light through those. No power in it. And then the people who bought it after demoed the garage.
They
So
tore
it's
it down.
gone.
But nobody ever stays long in that house. It has gone through
Yeah, multiple.
so
owners
many
and
hands,
renters.
and it sits empty a lot, and then somebody buys it, and then it's
Well, because a
sold
lot of
in
people
a
don't
year.
know how to handle that kind of
yeah,
activity.
Well, we-
or activity in general.
Yeah.
right.
Well, they had trouble with it. Like they ended up. Well, they tried to get it cleaned, and then it just worked.
Oh yeah, we had people come in to clean it several times, and it would stop for a while.
Sometimes, yeah. But Huntman, you gotta.
One quick one. When I was in the Army, I was stationed in South Korea. I was in Camp Stanley, if any of you guys have ever heard of it. This is 13 kilometers from the DMZ by North Korea, obviously between the two. The third floor, and it wasn't just me, like I've never personally saw it, but I've heard several things. Whether it be new privates, NCOs, people that have been there in the past, they all have seen or said they've seen this little girl that would roam the third floor hallway. I never personally seen her, but
You heard her.
I've heard bangs and knocks, and our security lockers that had our padlocks on them. A lot of them would come undone. Now that could just be for them forgetting to lock it, like they thought they did or whatever.
Multiple soldiers forgetting to lock it? I don't think so.
But you'd be surprised. The intelligence in the military is not there.
Oh.
But no, yeah, it's just certain things like that. Things would move from here to there. And it's just
Yeah. What did they? You get any description of the little girl?
I never got. I wasn't into like I wasn't against the paranormal. I just wasn't into it really
Yeah.
at the time.
And you're there doing other stuff.
Yeah,
You're a little more worried about getting bombed than the ghost girl that's walking down the hallway.
Yeah. But no, I wish now that if I had the knowledge that I do now, back then I'd figure something out.
You'd be sitting out there in the hallway, 3 a.m. Come here, little girl.
In Korea, their equipment's probably more advanced. They got holograms that are like, "Hey, come to me," But
That place looked like a prison too.
no, it was.
It was a scary
It was a
looking-
concentration camp back
It
in the
was.
Korean War,
It was scary.
Oh.
and they just built them into barracks.
I mean,
Then she could have been a member of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Could have.
Oh, that's terrible.
yeah, but that's why Camp Stanley's built up on a mountain, and why it's so small. There's literally only like 6 actual barracks, maybe not even that. I think 1 or 2 of them condemned, so maybe 4 barracks. We had like a total of like 800 people on our entire post, so we didn't have a lot. And a lot of them were the Korean civilians that were like cafeteria workers, security,
Yeah.
gate guard, whatever. But yeah.
Well, you had a lot of Black Hawk pilots because they were Black Hawk
Yeah.
helicopters.
Well, they
flying
would
in
they
and
would
out
go
constantly.
from like CRC, which is the next post over, Red Cloud, and then go to ours to drop whatever off, and then go to Camp Walker down. I mean, you could take a helicopter ride an hour and a half and be to the other side of Korea.
Yeah.
You know, a 4-hour train ride. You know, but
Let's see. So, Lise, you got.
I know as a teenager, we would go to youth group with our native center, and the one particular one was on Niagara Falls Boulevard, and we used to play a game called Sardines.
How many people can pack onto this couch?
Exactly. That's
Really?
I think that's just called living on the res. How many people can we fit on one couch? You and 18 cousins gotta sleep in this on a cot.
you got 2 aunties and an uncle in there too.
So you would go and hide, like people would just go and hide or whatever, and there'd be one person trying to find people. And if you were trying to find a spot and somebody else was there, you were supposed to stay with that group or whoever was there. So eventually, everybody that's supposed to be hiding ends up in one spot. But there was me and this one girl, and I want to say it was Kristen. We had went upstairs to the second floor, and it was like where we had all the conferences and everything. And we're just like, oh, well, there's somebody over in the corner. Let's go sit over there with them. We start walking over there, and by the time we get there, that person that we thought was there just like vanished. So
You thought you had somebody dead to rights.
we thought we were gonna go hide with somebody. Yeah, and like I said, as soon as we got closer, it disappeared. Well, we got scared, and we went into the girls' bathroom, flipped on the lights because you turn off all the lights. We flipped on the lights and we stayed in that bathroom until somebody was like, all right, you guys, you know, game over or whatever. But no, I think that was one of many things that happened in the Native Center. Nobody liked to go to the offices in the basement because if you walk by the boiler room, you would hear voices, like people having conversation, and there's nobody in there. Like loud conversations
Where's this at now?
in Fort Erie.
We might have to go visit there.
Yeah.
Or get one of our, friend groups, Hammertown, or Hammer... is it
Can't
Hammertown?
touch this. Yeah, Hammertown Paranormal.
Hammertown Paranormal, that's right.
Yep.
That's
Can't see them.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, right.
we've had lots of stuff, so I mean that's just like one of.
That's a good one.
That's it.
Who
Yeah,
knows?
I didn't even know about that one.
Yeah.
I like the ones
You-
I haven't heard before.
I mean, you probably had something in mind, but you got a hide and seek story there, Shady? With the
I don't know.
What?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know what I tell it.
oh,
I think we have to know it now. Now we got to.
not what you're thinking.
That's the ghost that
Yeah.
That's after
Content
dark.
available on our Patreon. for our special subscribers.
All right. I
I'm
guess
more
I'll-
loyal customer. I mean fans.
So nasty.
$2.99 a minute.
That's a good going.
A bunch of us kids, when we were in Cherokee, North Carolina, and a bunch of us guys were I don't know, 13, I think, around that, give or take a year or two with the group, and there was probably 20 of us at least. We were on this mountain in Cherokee that we were told by all our parents and elders never to go on because it was a bad place. Bad winning spiritual
Yeah.
things that weren't good. We were playing hide and go seek, and I hope Ricky Joe you're not watching this, but if you are, I had Ricky Joe on my case. Ricky Joe was this giant guy, but he was the most scared of us all. And for some reason, he would always be right beside me. I couldn't hide because I had a 400-pound guy beside me.
You could
So-
hide in him.
We were hiding behind an outhouse. It was the only thing I could find big enough. And
400-pound man beside you.
well, actually, he was probably about 320. then. He's bigger now. But
They breed them big down in
Oh,
Cherokee.
the cornbread boys.
I mean, he was like 13. He's already like 6 foot. He's big. So we're sitting there, and I'm thinking, I hear this, sound. I know it sounds weird. This slobbery, like somebody
paranormal
eating
related.
really.
It doesn't seem to be leaning that way.
And I'm sitting there and I'm looking around this corner. He's on the other side. I'm like, "Shut up, Ricky Joe," you know. And he's like, and that's all I heard of him. And I look over there and he's just like frozen, staring at this dog that's between us. There's a beagle sitting on its haunches like this, like it's begging, but
Viewer discretion advised.
Yeah. Well,
it was
for all of them.
looked like you had been in a horrible car accident or something like that. He had an eyeball hanging out of his socket. He had his tongue almost completely ripped off, and it was a little bit hanging off to the side of his mouth. And he was bloody everywhere. He looked horrible, but at the same time, he looked like he's just begging, trying to get us to pet him or something.
And
it
standing on 2 feet.
Yeah, sitting on his
Really?
haunches like this, like in a. It was very strange. And by the time I'm like looked for Ricky Joe again to ask him what the hell, he was gone.
I would be too.
So yeah, it was a very odd thing.
Like-
And you, by the way, this is a fall night too. Lots of leaves everywhere. We didn't hear this dog coming up on us, and we're listening because
Yeah.
we're playing hide and seek.
Not to mention also, you're nowhere near a road
No.
where a dog would be
We're,
hit by a car. You're like 2
About
miles away
3
from.
miles into the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody goes up
By
those
walking.
roads over there. Anyway.
Right. Yeah. We're
Yeah.
walking. So it was a very unusual thing.
Nobody but naughty kids who parents said
And
don't
that's
go there.
one of the reasons that it's because they say people see lots of stuff
Yes.
on the mountain that's not like it
I
ain't
mean,
a dog.
If you don't have
When
people
you hear,
around there like
like,
that, you're going to get a
skinwalker
lot of
stuff,
weird. Yeah.
Except they don't call them skinwalker over there. I forget the word for it.
Night crawlers.
It's a little. It's the same, pretty much the same
It's a
thing.
shapeshifter.
And
skinwalker.
that's what everybody assumed that this
Yeah.
thing was, because no animal that was that
Mangled.
mutilated would be able to just sit there and act like he's happy trying to get petted.
I mean, yeah, it would
Isn't
have
that the
to be.
same place you saw the?
Yeah, that's a little.
Yeah.
That one's a little. That's really creepy.
I mean, that is technically paranormal related.
But also in that same area, years later, I heard a story about, and not me personally, so you know.
Welcome, America.
But there's all kinds of stories about that place. But these 2 guys were walking back home, and this bear came out and was like walking behind them. And they were like, you know, they're used to bears up there.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're
You
all
know,
over the place.
so they're like, shoot, get out of here, go on, you know.
Go on, get
And
on
it
here.
just keeps like, you know, so they
Nosing
started to
around.
get a little like, all right. So the one grabbed like a rock and at first wasn't trying to hit it, like threw it
Just scared.
there, you know, and tell him to get, and it just keeps getting closer. So the one grabs one and does throw it at it, hits it in the eye,
Oh.
you know, and goes off. And so they continue walking home, and then their auntie, who was a marshal,
Auntie.
yeah,
Auntie.
yeah, comes driving up and flips on her sirens for them, you know, and they stop and they come over and she says, this guy flagged me down, and they look and there's this old man they haven't seen before in the back seat, the big old black eye,
What?
and she says, he says you boys threw a rock at him. And they
Excuse
were like,
me?
the only thing we've seen all day was a bear.
And we threw a rock at
And we
that.
threw a rock at that, and it was being weird. And she like looked at the boys and looked at the guy, and she's like, "I know this guy. You boys are fine. Get home."
So she knew something.
She knew that he was somebody
was-
that
yeah.
Yeah, she's like,
supposed to.
yeah, okay, the guys are good.
Yeah.
Like, I like those kind of stories because they make you think a little more. Like,
Yeah,
'Cause
but
we
yeah,
just-
there's
you
weird
hear a lot of
stuff
people
that
just-
happens in those mountains.
yeah, you hear a lot of stuff. Oh,
There's a
I saw
lot
a
of
ghost
weird stuff.
upstairs.
And
You
a
don't
lot
hear
of
stories
stories.
that are that in depth and then, you know, kind of.
Yeah, well, like I said,
personal
I don't
feeling.
know. That's just a third-hand story,
Still,
but it's the
that's
same
a
kind of
cool
area.
Yeah, but it's
you
from
know,
a
yeah,
family
stuff
that
that-
we
And that
know
little
well.
river that runs through there, I mean, there's a big serpent story there
Yeah.
that they say lives in that creek.
And the screaming lady on the curb that causes people to have accidents.
Yeah, and that happened to lots of
Oh,
different
an old spear finger in there, and it's like there's all kinds of creepy stuff in
You might want to
Maybe
tell
we
that
should go
story
down
about
there.
the curve, right?
North Carolina.
Take a
No,
little
I
trip.
don't know much about it except that there's one curve up on that road that they warn people about driving
Yeah.
because there's an old lady that screams right in the curve and cars lose control and go off the mountain all
she's
the
also
time.
seen.
She's
She
been
walks out
well,
in
that's
front
what
of
I
the
mean,
car,
she's-
and she looks so
and-
real.
I was about to say
yes.
I heard of, I haven't witnessed it myself, but in Tennessee, somewhere outside of Clarksville, an hour or so somewhere, there was this curve. It's just one of those blind curves that a lot of people go off the mountain on, and supposedly it's killed several people on that hill.
There are a lot of stories like that everywhere.
Well,
Except
here's
Yeah,
for
and
the
this is
the
in
thing.
Cherokee, but that's in the Great Smoky Mountains too.
Right.
And your place bordered the Great
So here's
Smoky
the thing.
Mountains.
There was since that when I first got to Campbell, I've heard that story because that cabin party I went to was close to that area. But more recently, from people that are still down there, and whatever, there's been sightings of people just roaming that corner, like just casually walking by, and then someone will drive by and it'd be gone.
Yeah. There's so
It's
many
weird.
actually of like, and it's all usually a lady that causes accidents that some like paranormal whatever peoples are actually thinking like,
It's a residual thing.
no, like there's some type of like specific, and I don't know if I agree with it or not, but like a specific entity, like a will-o'-the-wisp, but like
Okay.
a modern type version.
Yeah.
Like this,
Yeah,
an
there's
entity
and there's a
that-
name for it, but
that
that
Lures
has-
people there or draws them there.
Yeah, and it's that.
I mean
there's
that makes
numerous
sense.
ones, and
you
they
know.
have just like kind of the same MO.
yeah, their whole thing is to get people to have accidents
Mhm.
and kill themselves.
That's pretty weird.
See, you got. So we're going. You got another one, Miss Chris?
Not that I can think of offhand.
The reason we're a little hesitant because the first one we told a lot of our stories pretty quickly in the first one.
And we shared them during
Which,
other podcasts.
Again, you guys should check
Yeah.
out TikTok, guys. Check the link in our bio. Check out all our social media, Facebook and YouTube. We post everything on. Same with Facebook. Go ahead and check our stuff out.
I have lots of experiences from our hunts.
From
but
our
no-
hunts.
The hunts, yeah,
like
we get
the-
yeah.
I'm sure there's something I'm not thinking of, but I
Yeah.
can't think of it right
Well,
now.
I want to get your opinion on a story that these two have involved. You want to talk about the suit that you guys bought secondhand back in the 80s?
Oh, great.
I didn't buy that crappy thing.
No, that our father bought back
We're
in
not
the
in the mannequin thing too.
I just had to deal with the consequences.
My husband liked to shop in Goodwills, and he
Who
liked
doesn't?
Western design. And there's
There's good
this
stuff cheap.
No, Dad
corduroy.
didn't like to shop at Goodwill. Dad did not like to spend money. His
Well, that's the
his
thing.
idea of how much a thing should cost was set in 1930. And then anything past that, he's like, $2 for a pair of shoes? That's ridiculous. What?
Yeah. Well, he bought a suit because it had a Western cut to it. It was a ugly salmon shade of corduroy,
Yeah.
big well corduroy.
Corduroy's always been up there.
Western
Corduroy
cut,
is
70s.
ugly.
70s,
salmon
leather
Salmon.
lapels. And and it was cut good and it looked good on him. I mean,
That
the
probably
shape,
that is a little
no,
high.
the
Little
shape,
swag walk
not the
guys.
color, but it shaped his.
You mean the
upper
cut
torso.
was
The
the
cut
cut
was
was
good.
okay. The style and the color and the
Yeah, it
material
was really ugly.
horrendous.
Well, when we went home to Virginia, he bought it in Buffalo. We went home to Virginia. Things started happening. My daughter would start having these terrible night terrors, and she would wake up screaming and feel like someone is smothering her with balloons or smothering her with pillows. And she would wake up and see this big dark spirit with a.
And you would hear her gasping too.
Oh yeah, she.
For breath.
You'd run in there and she was choking. And then she would see this dark spirit standing in a room with a Billy Jack hat.
For everybody under
Under 70.
80.
Billy,
like
I like Billy Jack.
the unformed cowboy hats.
Yes,
like the flat
with
round
a
brim with
straight
just the
brim
flat-
and
the
Dome.
a
the
dome
dome.
top. Yeah.
So it's not a Michael Jackson song.
No.
no.
Jack is not.
my cowboy. But
It's
yeah,
just
an
that hat.
unformed cowboy hat.
Okay.
So things started happening like that. There started being fear and friction in the house, and she became very introverted and scared, but also really mean to her brother.
Well, she was also having dark spells.
Yes.
And many of those nights, I would catch her before she went on long enough to wake them up with her loud music playing in their bedroom. So I would get her.
So
and I
things were definitely not right.
Right. I would, bring her into my room and make her sleep with me. Now,
She was
sometimes,
about
though,
14 at the time.
No, less. Way
Less than
way
14?
Before I was born, yeah.
Oh, that's right. It was
Yeah,
way
she
before
was
you were born.
8 to 10 maybe. But sometimes she would come in my room and I didn't hear her even come in there. I just turn over and all there she's just sitting there staring at me like this.
Who are we talking about?
Sandy.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay.
It creeped me out. And I
So-
wouldn't let it scare me. I'd just say, get in bed, lay down. And she would. But she had this look on her face that was just pure evil and not her at all.
Not her.
And normally, and she did sleepwalk,
Yeah.
so that could, it could be related to that. But when this guy thing was going on, it happened a lot.
Well, we finally began to realize that it was an entity that was doing this stuff. So we
checked
made
it
a
out,
phone
yeah.
call to Canada, and we talked to a medicine person up there who told us what we needed to do. And then there was a certain ceremony that we
Well,
needed to do.
You should say too, she told us why it was in our house.
Oh,
and what
yes.
caused
She
it.
said it was because we have something that this dark spirit is attached to. So we went through everything trying to figure out what that could possibly be. And then we're like, it's that damn suit. Because you go to the closet and you see it and it's like, ugh. And I thought just because it was so freaking ugly, but maybe it was because it was attached to something.
Yeah.
So we did a special ceremony.
You might want to tell them what it was attached to it too.
It was attached to the suit.
No, who was attached to the suit?
Who was attached to it?
You don't remember, do you?
I remember a man and a baby.
Yeah, she said that it was a man and he was buried in that suit. She was more specific than you remember.
No,
I-
he couldn't
I
have
don't
been
think
buried in
buried,
it
I think
because
it
No,
was
it
that-
was a
it was-
funeral, but they took
which
it
is
off.
something they used to
I
do
shouldn't-
back in the
not
day.
actually.
Yeah.
have
They
it
didn't
in
want to
the
bury the expensive clothes, so they lay them out.
and
in
then
the-
take it off.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
Take it
I
off and
forgot
bury
that.
it.
I
And-
forgot that
So what
part.
happened to the clothes after that? Was it like the?
Oh, well,
the
we'll-
funeral?
we'll tell you.
Family
They sell them at big-
end up in Goodwill.
Big
as
lots.
Oh,
Yeah.
they would
Some,
sell them
someone
and
down
stuff
the
like
line, yeah.
that. But she also said that he was a serial baby killer.
Oh,
He was a very evil man.
And being Sandy was the youngest in the house,
I mean,
yeah, I think he was
Attractive.
targeting her specifically.
And it was terrifying her.
It was.
Nightly terrifying.
And when we say she was crying, it was it was worse than night terrors. It was like she literally was fighting for her life, screaming to save her.
Right.
right.
And never got over the idea of pillows or balloons. Never got over that the rest of her life.
It affected her for a long, forever.
So we did the ceremony, and then we built a fire and put our medicines, our tobacco and sweetgrass and sage and our different herbs and medicines we use, and we burned it. We had to burn it to ash.
We had to do a feast too.
That was before. That's what I was talking about, the ceremony, and then we did
Yeah.
the soup burning.
So here we are. We had to do soup burning, but I was always the one that had to take the food out.
I didn't make you.
Here I am, a little kid. We might want to explain that
Yeah,
a little bit.
like I don't know if I've ever talked to
I've
Chrissy
heard
about
this
that.
story, yeah.
That
Okay, with the
for
feast, you have to
certain-
cook certain foods.
and you give an offering, you take it out and put it for
Everything
other
has to be
things.
eaten. And if something falls on the floor, you gotta leave it.
Yeah,
And no seasoning in the food.
No,
And we
yeah.
had to cook something that babies would like, so we cooked macaroni and cheese.
Baby squash.
And
yeah.
something
I wouldn't
that
do too much detail on
the men would
ceremony
like,
stuff.
so we we cooked what a man would
Right.
like.
But
It has to be served a certain way. And
right, and when you're making sure you have to take that food for this spirit out of the house.
You
And
tell
that
him
co-
this is your last meal here, and
last
this
meal,
is your
and
last
you're not
night
allowed
here.
back in. And then you have to carry it into the woods. Be careful not to spill a drop of anything, and you leave it there. But the whole time I was carrying that thing out there, I'm like, I can hear this weird stuff. I'm scared to death. It's dark, and I'm trying not to spill it because in my kid's mind, I'm thinking, man, this thing's gonna attach right to me if I do.
Yeah.
No.
And he's all around me. I can feel it here.
Yeah.
And finally, I just got it down, and it's really hard not to spill something. You're shaking like this.
Yeah.
And
Terrified
I
as a
took off
kid.
like a bat out of hell.
So we burned the suit, we buried the ashes, we purified each one of us, we had a medicine fire, we purified the house,
Yeah.
and we
And
never
then
had
you
that
can't have any
problem
problem.
again.
Something kind of interesting about the food being set out, which I don't know, is that something that northern peoples do too, or is that
Yes.
just us?
When we do, like I remember all the feasts and stuff that we did for our relatives that
Yeah.
passed. Same thing, we cooked like all
Okay.
their favorite foods, passed it all out to like everybody there, including a plate for the
A plate for
deceased.
the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did a plate
And the
for the
same
man
thing,
and a
food
plate for the
falls and you're
baby.
supposed to leave
Yeah.
it, same thing.
But like in the few times I've seen it, like in the South, I thought was kind of cool. Like the one we had a ceremony at the people's house, and they had all those dogs, like 40 freaking dogs at their house, but you take
That
the
was
plate
Walker
out.
Calhoun's house, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not.
So,
it's
he's
just a
gone.
It
Oh,
doesn't
sorry.
matter.
sorry, that was right, sorry.
But they have all these like semi-feral dogs, and you put that plate out, and the dogs would
Nope.
Nope.
just
Huh.
wouldn't
wouldn't
touch it.
Because
The
they
dog
knew it
wouldn't
wasn't
touch
meant
it.
for them.
Yeah, something else they were
When
seeing.
you have
that-
animals
It's
like
no,
that
Don't you
respect
dare.
spirits,
You have animals
you're
that
not going to heed that advice.
an animal respecting your traditions, that's pretty good.
I got a story related to something else that grandmother bought. She had this dress mannequin,
Oh,
like just pretty much the torso,
that
shoulders.
was given to me from my sister.
Yeah.
Bought instead of got, or got instead of bought. But I was years ago, so between 8 and 10 maybe.
Little guy.
Her house was one of those houses. It's a big house, but it had a bunch of rooms, right? And they had a hallway that kind of ran the span of the house from front to back.
On the second floor.
On the second floor, staircase here, master bedroom behind me, which was their room. Room, like little weird hallway closet nook thing that was just creepy and made me want to pee myself as a kid. And then like another 2 rooms at the end, and then the very end, a big bathroom. I don't remember what was going on. My cousin Aaron and I were playing on the stairs, doing something, and then our grandfather called us in there. And we were talking to him. Maybe he was yelling. I think he was yelling at us because we were being loud or something like that. And so, like, we're in his doorway looking at him. And I happened to, for whatever reason, look down the hallway. And this, keep in mind, this mannequin's just on a pole with a round base. Just a flat, round base.
No,
that's
it's
like-
not
It's
whole
a
mannequin,
dressmaker's
it's
no,
dummy.
yeah, exactly. So, for it to do what I'm about to tell you is not possible. So, whatever this was, so like right at the edge of the stairs with that weird little closet, it's a doorway, to the hallway. I look over and this mannequin thing was just like, as if it was like peeking out at me, and then I see it, and it's like, it's not like, he caught me, it just slowly went back,
And it
I'm
doesn't
like-
even have a head or anything.
It's got no,
just-
it's literally like a stump of a neck, shoulders, and then like the torso. And obviously I'm peeing my pants in this time. I mean, I'm telling grandfather, my grandpa, hey, he's just, ignore it. He's just,
That's his answer. For
oh,
it.
yeah, hey,
Just
don't worry,
ignore it.
ignore it. There's nothing there. I'm like, so there.
Too.
And then as I do it, it's like, I look over and it's already looking out at me as this, and I'm just peeing my pants, metaphorically.
Yeah.
I'm freaking out inside, and I'm like, he's right there. And then Aaron looks over, and right as he did, it peeks back away again. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, But this thing, I swear, this something was attached to this thing. I don't care what
I don't
anybody
think
says.
it was. I think it was whatever was in the
In the house was using
Well,
it to scare
the
you.
thing that hung
So-
out in the basement.
I was just saying that's what I'm getting to now.
Yeah.
So she eventually put it into the basement, which I think is where one of your offices, your shop rooms or whatever was. I don't remember what you
We had a
had down
bunch of
there.
crack stuff down
Yeah.
there too. Yeah.
Craft rooms, I couldn't think of it. Anyways, we're doing stuff, and this is several different occasions. We play hide and seek. All the kids are terrified to go in this basement. Oh, not to mention the bathroom doorway, like with the little doggy door thing.
Oh.
I swear to God, every someone's gonna reach out and just snatch your little kid legs out of that thing. Then there's one day we're down there, and we were playing with like Lance and
That
Monkey
house
and
was haunted, guys.
you know, at that time they're if I
Older
was
teenagers.
yeah. But for whatever reason, I think we were just playing hide and seek. We had to go down there to look for you, and this little mannequin thing is in the back of the basement in the hallway, just standing there in the dark in the middle of the hallway, facing the stairs.
Looking at you.
No, and Coda, Kay, and I'm guessing whoever else was down. I remember Dakota and Kay being down there. Can attest to this. We went upstairs. 3 minutes later, came back downstairs, and it was moved. Now, here's the thing. It could have been them hiding, but I don't remember them being in the basement. So
Did you move the mannequin?
I don't recall using the mannequin to try to scare the little
that would
guys,
scare us too much, anyways.
Yeah.
But this thing was in a completely different room, and I'm not shitting. Excuse my language.
Not
Not
to
joking.
mention, if I was hiding with Monkey, we weren't hiding in that basement.
No.
Monkey'd be like,
scared of that
Basement
nope.
was terrifying, and that little mannequin thing happened several different times. I'm sure all of us kids have seen it or at least witnessed it multiple times in the house. But now to the basement door thing. This is just something spinning off of the creepiness in the house, in the basement, mannequin, whatever. Grandmother's bathroom, off the kitchen, had a door to the basement inside of it. And in the bottom right corner, had this little like makeshift doggy door thing.
yeah, from the previous owner.
Yeah. And because of us kids were terrified at the time, the bathroom itself was kind of creepy for us kids. But then having that
Goes
little
right to the
door,
basement. Yeah.
Because it went to the basement and you didn't
Yeah.
like the basement.
and I would feel like something was like, if we were to go by that door, keep in mind, it had a lock on there, and every time we went to go to the bathroom, it wasn't locked. So you're pooping yourself trying to, get the door to lock without getting something like reaching out from under this thing and grabbing it. I swear, that's literally what it felt like.
Even as
You know?
older, because that's where I get ready for school in the morning.
Yeah.
Like in the shower and stuff, it would feel like
There's something there watching.
like something would come into the bathroom while you
From
were
that door.
in there. Yeah, from
Yeah.
like the basement.
Yeah, it
I'm
was.
just picturing a mannequin like peeking its head.
I
through
wish we had
the doggy
that
door or
thing,
whatever
yeah,
you're saying.
like-
Oh yeah, the shoulders come through
Just
the
the
doggy door.
shoulders. He's like,
That would be amazing.
A stump comes through.
he's like got arms of his
You would
moving.
say, what happened to
You know?
Hunter? His hair turned
Or
white.
you finally open the door and it's standing there.
Yeah, exactly. It was creepy.
I'd
Yeah,
chop
there
that.
was-
Well, I
definitely
did
was-
actually put that in the dump pile.
Good.
Well, yeah. But I don't think
Let
it
some
was,
poor
I
soul-
don't think it was something attached to the doll. I think, or the
I think something in the
I
house
think
manipulated
whatever
him
was
because he
in
knew,
King Avenue liked to mess with people.
and it knew that
Right.
would
Yeah,
scare the
It's a
kids.
kid, he could play off that fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it used to like mimic my name and call
Yeah, we
the
talked
names
about
of
that
the
in
kids.
the
Oh,
last
yeah.
episode.
You guys are
Of
gonna
the
check that
ghost
out.
stories.
Episode 1 are ghost stories on your YouTube channel.
Lisa and I should talk about Niagara Falls house too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That was a creepy place. You want to start it out?
I'm sure there's a lot of different.
There
stories
is,
there.
but like, where do you start?
Well, wherever you want.
Let's see.
Well, did you have any before? Because you lived there for a while before Shane and you moved in together, right? Do you have anything going on before then?
Not. I mean, little things. And he also heard it too at one time. Remember the doorbell?
Oh,
There was-
that
That's
wasn't
not a little thing.
There
That's
was.
a big thing.
It's just a little thing.
basically.
The doorbell. You would hear a doorbell ring, but there was no doorbell.
It was.
In the
Not-
basement,
not-
in the second floor, clear, really loudly.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't even one on the outside of the house
But
there was
nothing
wires.
at all.
that would you would think would be hooked up,
Yeah,
but they
no.
were just like, whoop.
There was a previous
Separate.
doorbell that they had connections in the living room and throughout the upstairs.
Like an old
and
doorbell that was actually
in the
a bell.
basement.
Yeah.
And the wires are just sitting there. It had been disconnected many decades ago, just sticking out of the wall like this, and where the box used to be. But it would ring and ring and ring, and it was to the point where I just got obstinate. Like I would go in there's a shower in the basement. It's dark as crap down there.
Creepy.
Why there's a random shower in the middle of a basement?
Well,
You know, there was
shower
one in
in
my
the
mother's
middle.
house in Virginia. There was a shower
Yeah,
in the
my
basement.
grandpa had a random shower in the middle of his
That's so
basement.
weird.
Yeah,
too.
I'll have
But
a
when
shower
you
in
take
the
a
basement.
shower
They're
down
dark,
in the
cold,
basement,
creepy.
and that one though, you could really feel a dark,
oh, you can feel
creepy
stuff
presence
there.
that hated anybody down there. Like if you could feel like somebody was like literally standing in front of your face,
Ugh.
like a real person, but there's nobody there, and you could just feel
Right.
the energy. And I was just like, nope. I hate taking baths, but I'm telling you, I like taking baths in Niagara Falls.
I must say that probably be pretty peaceful now, just because like I like showering in the dark in general.
Yeah.
You know.
I was only there
You're
like
weird.
30 minutes when moving stuff in, and you guys had run to the store for something, and I was there with your dog, and
Blackie.
doorbell. Yeah,
Mr.
doorbell
Blackie.
starts going off, and it's like the old like actual bell kind of
Yeah.
thing, and I was like, oh, so I go open the door, like, okay. And as soon as I get back to like putting box, like it just did it like over and over and over again, and I was thinking it was like.
Someone ding dong ditching or something.
Yeah, but the dog wasn't like, and the dog barked at everybody.
He's probably just.
And
like,
he was just sitting in the dining room, like,
He's used to it.
yeah, you know. So, and then
Well-
they came home, and Lisa's like, oh yeah, that just happens. There's no doorbell. I was like, oh,
It's not even.
I'm gonna go now.
Yeah, yeah.
There was no bathroom downstairs, just a shower, and there was only one bathroom upstairs. So, I'd like to take a shower and have some privacy. We had kids, so I went down there the first time. Yes, you get this creepy feeling, and I'm a little weird. I like to turn the light off. And the light to that
That's not
is
weird.
on the top of the stairs, on the other,
Yeah,
second floor.
when you go down to the
So,
basement.
or first floor. So I turned it off. I go down, and you have to pretty much feel your way in there. It's so pitch black, and I start getting this feeling like something was watching me. So I close the curtain and turn the shower on, and in the curtain I hear it go, and I'm like, so I'm thinking she's snuck down there messing with me. So I close it back because after I looked and she couldn't
Yeah.
figure. I'm just feeling outside the shower because I can't see nothing.
Yeah,
And then close it back, and I realized it's doing it 3-4 times, and I realized something's down there. I'm like, oh. So I start ignoring it, and then the doorbell starts. Ding dong! And it's just, in a basement that's all concreted in,
yeah.
it's really loud. And it just kept doing it over and over. So I took a 2-hour shower just out of spite. I got me out of there.
He ain't
You
getting
want
me
me
out that
out?
easy.
I'm not going
And
out.
yeah, and there's been other things. Like I remember when I got the phone hooked up. The same thing in the basement because the lines were in the basement. Would mess with the wires down in the basement. Like they would unhook them to the house. My grandparents would be like, what is happening? They'd finally come to the house because, I wasn't answering the phone. I was like, nobody's been calling.
It happened several times. It
Yeah.
just kept
It
disconnecting
just
the wire.
Like
disconnected.
actually, like
Like,
unconnected
And like
from, the
rewiring
junction box.
it to like all kinds of places. So I remember, I think the phone company came out twice. And the last time they came out, the guy was like, yeah, I'm going to show you how to do this because I'm not coming back. So whatever was in the basement scared the crap out of them. So,
And for all you kids out there, back in the Stone Age, we used to wear our phones to the house.
yeah, true. Yeah.
landlines.
They're like,
The
landlines.
sad part is I'm old enough to be like, yeah,
What does she mean? Phone lines.
I was before they had the wireless phone line,
I'll tell you something else too. Now this house had a bunch of rumors about an amorous ghost in the attic and all this stuff.
A
before
what
we-
ghost?
Amorous.
Amorous. That like to do stuff to
Naughty,
guys.
naughty.
Almost like a succubus.
Yeah.
All right. So
I know.
we
Don't make any jokes.
Succubus.
Chrissy goes,
Chrissy's on it.
Like, suck you what?
I suck your what?
Suck your butt.
So, Lisa and I had we were staying there temporarily. We had I had this big sectional couch that had a fold-out bed in it, and we were laying in that sleeping. And that way the kids could all have like a room.
that
and
couch
space.
is comfy.
And
Big comfy couch.
I had put some sweetgrass up on the wall. I put it like a little screw through it to help with some of this atmosphere in this place because it did really feel like a creepy place. And we had a television on a stand sitting, well, it's actually at the end of the bed and over this way. And we're sitting there talking and whatever, and the TV turns on. And it was my TV, right? So I know how, and I'm like, what the heck? So I go and I push the little button, get back in bed, it turns on again. And I'm like, what is going on with this, right? A couple more times. So then I get the TV, I unplug it, right? It turns back on again. And it's just the white noise stuff. It's not like it's on a channel.
Yeah.
So I go over there, I'm
Which
thinking,
is another thing
well-
from the Stone Age for you kids.
Right.
Like white noise, no channel. What does that mean?
right?
Somebody didn't pay the cable bill. That's what it means.
So I'm thinking, I don't know what to do. There's this thing that must be touching something that's live on the floor.
Mhm.
So I scooped, roll it, because it's on a rolling stand. I rolled it across the room. Think I'm done this time for sure.
Yeah.
I lay down. Comes on again. So I just said just ignore it, go to sleep. And when that did, then the sweetgrass that was in a braid comes falling down off the wall. And I'm like, oh, these guys are just messing with us. You can't let them, don't think about them. This is, and then we fell asleep. I woke up in the middle of the night, it was off. So.
And I mean, and multiple times too, it would fall off, even when I was there.
yeah,
the sweetgrass. we
Not
put it
only
back
just
up.
fall off, it would like fly across the room. And
Yeah.
they're like, "Well, burn it."
Well, at first, there was a little nail there, so I just stuck it on nail. It kept falling off. So I screwed a screw through it. It's still coming off. It was...
And it would not burn. I could not get that thing to burn.
It wouldn't burn. Don't matter how much we tried to make it, for prayer.
Yeah.
Nope. It was a weird place, that house.
Yeah.
What do you think, like Niagara Falls basement, 21 Penn basement, 150 Broad basement, why do you think the basements
I
are
think
so
because
active?
they avoid
dark.
human contact a lot of times, especially the ones might not be as amenable. So then we go into their space,
Mm-hmm.
right?
He's like, there's
Well,
dark.
yeah, your
People
basement
don't
on
go
Green
down there
Street
often.
was a problem too,
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
it? And on Maple.
It also could be too. You have a lot of
Green Street.
Not so much.
not so much Green Street.
Maple Street, we knew we had the guy had that workshop in a quarter of the basement.
Is that the one
had-
Skippy hid in on Maple
Yeah,
Street?
the one he would have.
Oh,
He had avoided.
he
like
hated
the
that
plague
basement.
before that,
Yeah.
and so we left that space for the old guy.
Mm.
But the basement, other than that, didn't feel bad at all.
Yeah.
But we knew that was one of his. But that and the attic was where he.
Yeah, and then unoccupied. It's also like the mimic house.
Oh,
You're also
yeah.
subterranean. You're in the deposits of minerals and magnetic
Sandstone.
fields.
Sandstone,
and
limestone,
water-
Yeah, that's
water.
So
Yeah.
you got
Yeah.
a lot of.
That makes
All the
sense.
power goes through the house there.
Yeah, you've got. That's what I was gonna
Something
say. You've
like
got a lot
boxes.
of natural energy sources and magnetic resonance. You got all of your house power.
The breaker
and
box
electricity
to the whole
going through
house.
there
Yeah.
mostly, and it's unoccupied. Yet, so makes some
It's a
sense.
combination of things.
Yeah.
Also, I think some things that are more maybe malevolent, like the thing in Niagara Falls, I could see it hanging out in the basement because it knows generally people are more afraid of the basement.
Yeah.
So
Well,
if
that's
you go
true,
down
too.
there, it's going
But that's
to.
why people develop the
feed
fear
off
of the
of you.
basement is because of the things that happen in basements.
Well, it's just like a
Well, even at-
domino effect.
Like the Mimic House, like that's where a lot of, I mean, stuff was
Alright,
happening all
yeah.
over, but some of the
The-
real
the
creepy
most stuff
stuff
was in the
happened in
basement.
the
It seemed like
basement.
that was where it was
Yeah.
based from.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And lots of limestone in that house and water and everything
Yeah.
else.
But see, like that thing, I don't think would be avoiding people.
no,
It
that was
That thing
wanted
just wanted to get under
attention,
your
that-
skin.
But I think
yeah.
that's
I
where
think
it had the most opportunity to draw
Energy.
strength.
on. Yeah.
Um,
So let's see. We're actually, I mean, at pretty much the hour mark. We got.
You had some questions over there?
You had a question or something, Dad, didn't you?
well, this last week we've had some people that had certain types of questions. One was, unfortunately, this poor lady just recently lost her husband. And she was concerned that, well, he wasn't really a paranormal believer. Is he going to be able to communicate with me? And then she tells me these weird things that are starting to already happen. One, and it was obvious that this guy is really trying to reach out and say, look, I'm right here.
Yeah.
But one of the things that she was really concerned about was if he's there and it was him that I'm, experiencing, does that mean he's trapped? Or does that mean he's not going to heaven? And I'm like, no. It's one, I think he's even left yet to go to heaven if he wanted to, or to, the light or whatever you want to call it, right? Mostly because he was concerned for her. He died pretty young. And even when, in our beliefs, a spirit can move on and still come back to visit. But that is completely different than an earthbound spirit that chooses to be there or is stuck there for whatever reason. That's a whole different animal. But in her case, she really needed, and this is an intelligent woman, master's degree, doctor's degree,
Yeah.
I think. And so she needed something to make those connections so that she didn't feel long like she was losing it.
Yeah.
And, just thinking that she's seen something because that's what she really wanted. And she needed that validation.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had another person that was suffering from something attached to her. And that was a horrible thing. And yes, unfortunately, sometimes those things can happen. And I would suggest, there's a lot of things out there, but if you could have a holy person, a medicine person, a priest,
Yeah. Whatever faith you may be, because we believe, honestly, I think all of us, right? Like, it doesn't matter what your belief system is, as long as you believe in it.
In the higher power?
Well, in whatever.
Not even. Well,
Not-
yeah. Just
yeah,
in
but
whatever
like-
you believe
A
that.
higher, yeah, pretty much.
It, I believe personally that, like, okay, if you're a native person who really believes in your things, our sage and stuff is going to work for you. If you're a Catholic who really believes in their stuff, their ceremonies are going to work.
And
I
holy
think
water.
as long as
It's
you
faith
believe
and
in
intent,
your
right?
faith,
Faith and intent.
yeah, and it doesn't, not that it doesn't matter, but what you believe in, whatever denomination or religion you might have, go to the people, your minister, your preacher, your medicine person, and they can try to.
This plane of
Provide
existence
assistance.
is for the living, us, right? We have the power. Not everybody has the faith in that power and a greater power
Yeah.
of whatever it may be. But if they do, then they can control a lot of what
Yeah.
happens because we're in this plane of existence. We're special,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
I was just mentioning because I've had people ask, like, me personally, not related to spirit hunter stuff, but
Right.
just in general, like, well, if you believe in like native stuff, does that mean that you think like a Baptist minister cleaning the house won't work? And I'm like, no, like
No,
I think
yeah.
that'll work just fine. Or a Catholic priest coming in and blessing it. I think it all depends on, like you said, the faith and
Faith
the
and
intent.
their connection to whatever,
Yeah.
if they have a higher power, like they're.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, and some people, even within our own peoples, might disagree with that. But I think all of the spirit hunters team is of the opinion of
Right,
you
and
know.
keep in mind too, there's more than 1,500 different nations of native
Mhm.
peoples not. I mean, we generalize on what majority of people we've met sometimes,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of different beliefs out there, as there is with any faith and ethnic group everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm glad you kind of answered that with Chrissy, but another thing that we get asked a lot.
No, I was just scratching.
Like, it's like, something
It's got something in that. I mean, there's something white right in.
I had like 3 calls last week, right? Of people asking me about animals. You know, the one, she was very close to her animal. She thinks she's going crazy, but she's seeing this thing a lot after it's passed away. I'm like, well, it likes you. You know, it's still going through its routine. It couldn't even be residual. But, you know, multiple people have asked about the animal stuff, and we absolutely believe that animals,
believe that.
spirits could be. There's energy released from every living thing, and we even include rocks and stuff like that, right? So, absolutely, we've all seen little critters and pets before.
And you believe in the. Like, well, when you were.
Well, she
I mean,
had
I-
a gerbil
I-
in her store,
I
knocking out the.
I personally believe that animals have like spirits
Yeah.
as well.
Yes, they do. They have souls, spirits.
I mean, they're so pure. Like compared to humans, animals are just so
That's
pure
true.
and innocent, and like
They are, and they have love
personalities.
and affection.
Well,
Right.
yes.
They're not the same kind of a being as our soul might be, but they're still absolutely a precious gift from the Creator,
Mm-hmm.
and are treated as so.
Okay, there's a whole story that you didn't get to, but I wanted you to elaborate a little bit on that we have the
Yeah.
power to say to a spirit, leave me alone, get away from
Absolutely.
me.
You can protect yourself. You can set
You
your
can
own
do,
boundaries.
you can set it, you can say, you can,
and,
you don't
and-
have
and
to
pretty
do
much
what-
all of us here are living testaments to that.
right, you
I
don't
mean, we
have to
wouldn't
be
be able to live with
weak
some
and
of this
listen to
stuff
them.
because if we were able to do that.
Now,
No, you
and
can
that's not
control that.
disparaging. No, there are some circumstances where even if you do that, it may not. Like, I don't want somebody to like hear that and then think, well, I tried that and it didn't work, so I must suck.
Yeah.
You know, there are some
No.
entities that are stronger.
Not
more-
everything
but in
is a
general.
human ghost, or there's
Yeah.
a lot of different spiritual
Like-
beings out there, and certain things can be completely different.
Yeah.
By and large, that putting that, you know, you can protect yourself. You can surround yourself with light or energy. There's a lot of ways to protect
Mhm.
yourself, and you know, or prayer or whatever. That worked in most situations, but there are
Yeah.
exceptions to
That's-
the rule,
Like
and
when,
it's not so easy for some people, like
No.
people from severe abuse.
Yeah.
No, it's not, but they don't know that they can say, get away
Yeah,
from
well,
me.
they've been beaten down and battered so much, it's hard for them to have that faith in themselves, much less anything
Yeah.
else.
oh, I was just getting at I know we've mentioned this before, but when we go on ghost hunts, like before we leave, we always say like it was nice meeting you, but you have to stay here. Like you
Right.
kind of set boundaries, and
You
you
stay.
have that ability to
Yeah.
say like, you can't come with
Yeah.
me. Like
Well,
Right.
like Shane said, and we all, I think, approach ghosty stuff kind of the same way we would a person. You know, and it's okay for you to say to another person, hey, leave me alone.
Absolutely.
If they're making you feel a certain way or they're.
Right.
But like you said, that's going to be much more difficult with a spirit or with a human, with somebody who is in a situation where their whole life they've been,
Right,
it's going to
because their
take a
soul
lot for
is
them to
fractured
find
from the
their.
stuff that they've been through, and to be able to gather that strength
Yeah.
and energy is a harder thing.
Mhm.
So that's why we as brothers and sisters gotta help with.
Well,
Yeah. And I
Sad
think-
though sometimes.
Yeah, but I think that's a good note to end it on, is to remember that you guys, even if you don't feel like it, even if something or someone in real life, someone physical, tangible, is trying to affect you negatively, that you do,
Have the
like
right
Grandma
to
said,
say
have
no.
the right and the power to,
yeah.
do
Say-
something about it.
making
Yeah.
me think of Captain Planet. The
Yeah.
power is yours.
Whereas, yeah.
We're going to have to do
We're gonna have
Personal
to do
ghost.
a personal ghost story too.
Yeah.
I
Part
didn't actually
three.
say any of them.
because
No, you didn't.
there was
Share
one
one.
that I wanted him to
it'd be
say
long.
about PA,
Yeah, I was going to talk about the one down the street that take.
the one
It'd take a
in
while to
Pennsylvania.
We could do a part 3, but this time we'll just, we'll mark what we've already spoken.
Yeah, we'll
Thank you.
remember to this
Yeah.
time. And yeah.
All right. Well, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Feel free to check out our Spirit Hunter store. We got our link tree on Facebook. TikTok is right in the profile. Facebook, you guys know what you guys got to do.
Yeah.
And our contact info is on there if you
Yep.
need, somebody to talk to or like to share a story.
Likes
Did you
and
get any
subscribes and comments are always
Did you get any
appreciated.
questions?
ghostlychronicles.com, and we apologize for our website and her blog being down. We got those problems fixed. We're back and running good.
So check those out. And in the meantime,
Happy hunting.
see you later, guys.